So
you can't see it properly.
So we're doing a Q&A video for a finger slip. We're gonna read some questions and this girl is gonna answer them and I'll help.
I was wondering what happened to a finger slip in AO3. I would like to read it, but it appears it's no longer there.
Hey, this is more about the actual fic, but what happened to the original copy on Archive of Our Own?
Just out of curiosity, why is the fic no longer on AO3?
Why is the finger slip not on AO3 anymore?
It might be a silly question, but why did you delete a finger slip?
Do you know why was AFS removed from AO3? I'm glad you have a backup copy though.
Do you have a link to a finger slip? Because I don't know where to find it.
I can't find a finger slip on your AO3. I want to read it, but it's not there.
Every time I try to bring up a finger slip in Archive, it says it doesn't exist.
I was just wondering where I can read the story. It's on AO3 anymore.
I've been looking for 3 days and I can't find a good link. Is it for sale somewhere?
I can't find a finger slip. Where is it? Can I read it?
Hey, sorry if you get this a lot, but what happened to a finger slip on Archive of Our Own? I don't get it a lot at all. In fact, I never get it. Like, I don't know, to be honest.
Then
What did
It
happen
just
to it?
disappeared. Should I answer it?
Yeah.
It was to do with the Kickstarter. The advertisement of the Kickstarter on the final chapter. Apparently, I got emailed saying that there was a complaint. Who would complain about, I don't know, to be honest. The abuse team was like, it had to be taken down because you can't advertise something and ask for money or something like that. And I had a link to it and everything. So they didn't like that.
Literally all you did was say, if you want to support our project, check out our Kickstarter.
Yeah.
It
I
wasn't
didn't say,
it wasn't like, come give us money. But they got bitchy about it and took it all down.
Which is stupid. Why didn't they just like delete the final chapter instead of the whole
Yeah,
thing?
they could have just done that.
Because then that would have got rid of the
They
link.
could have asked you to remove the link.
I thought, because that is such a stupid reason. I thought it was just going to be a glitch. Like when it first happened, I was like, something must have happened because in the terms of service it says there is glitches because it's still a beta website. And I thought it glitched, it deleted it, but
They actually took the whole
The whole
the
thing.
whole
All
thing,
the
which was
kudos and
completely
everything.
unnecessary. Could have just deleted the last chapter and then.
But we do have it available to read as a PDF on our website at fingerslipseries.com.
And I do intend to get it back up on the site
Someday.
People were so nice though. I got so many people messaging me offering copies.
Cumberbatch in the Toddies asked, did you ever think that AFS would grow to be this huge? I mean, thousands of people have read your story and thousands more continue to do so, not to mention the web series. Did you ever think that someone would want to make a web series out of your fanfiction? Thank you, by the way, for doing this and for writing a finger slip.
You're welcome. The question, do you ever think would it grow to be this huge? No. You never think it's going to be this something big when you first start it. You always kind of hope that it'll take off because you don't write something and hope that no one's going to read it. You write it and think, oh, it'll be so good if people like recommend this and share it around, and then if it gets really big, that would be so cool, and then it happens and you're like, holy shit. And then you came to me and you're like, hey, let's make a web series. I was like, okay. Are you serious? And you were.
I was serious.
So like, I never thought, I was really surprised. Nerd.
Nerd.
Pretty realistic John Locke fan art asked, hi Pawtal, great fic. But I was wondering why you chose to write the ending like you did. E.g., why did you never show them to be in an actual relationship together? Cheers, Charlotte.
Yeah, why did you never do that?
Yeah, why did you never
Ever.
do that?
I feel like the whole fic is a symbolism of them being apart and not, but still managing to be together. That was deep. Like, but like, if I suddenly went into them going on actual dates, like in real life, in that fic, like not making it something brand new,
There would be no
then it would
tension
be-
left.
yeah,
So it
the
would get
fic would have a
boring.
completely different dynamic. It wouldn't feel like a finger slip. It would feel like a finger slip's little cousin.
Yeah.
Where they're suddenly now they're in a relationship. This
So
is
you
their
could write a
life.
spin-off between...
I could.
but it wouldn't be a finger slip anymore, because the plot of that is
Yeah.
them not meeting. That's the whole tension of the plot, is that they need
Yeah.
to meet, and no matter how hard they try, something always stops it. And so the resolution of that is the final meeting, and there is a little bit of a romantic climax in
Yeah.
the story, but like to go on and on with it would just sort of fizzle out.
It
and
would, yeah, be milking it a bit.
yeah, it would.
Like, I wasn't intending to even write the ending that way. I wanted to just end it as them kind of like in text saying, oh, I've met John. Like, obviously, like, not like that,
But then
but,
the
like,
readers
never
would have
actually-
felt even more robbed
Yeah, but then some people messaged me and were like, I hope you're writing the meeting. And I was like, I wasn't planning to, but now I will.
Okay.
If you really want me to.
No, I really liked it. It works because it's like the last chapter, so it's not like it's random in the middle of the story and back and forth in format.
I guess it kind of rounds
It's
it
the
up a little bit.
resolution, that's the end.
Here's your fucking ending. Here's the fucking leaving.
Take it!
Leave me alone.
I feel like it's a really good way to resolve it and to be certain about how both the characters feel, because when it's just through text, you just sort of have to like wait and see how it resolves itself through the texts. So like for something like that, for the tension to finally have a resolution, it had to be like in narrative.
We do it.
Hellhounds in 2-1 be asked, are you happy with the way your story turned out in terms of the ending note?
I feel like it would take me like an hour to answer this question. I don't know how to start. Someone give me a prompt.
Alright.
Like, you added, are they talking about the...
Epilogue or maybe the...
Quick note on this is that somebody mentioned to me that there were readers who thought that it implied that John cheated on Sherlock. Basically, there's no way that John would cheat on Sherlock. And I personally did not see that in the context at all. Because, because I know, I mean, we watched John work for months to be able to get him back, and so he wouldn't ruin it. Basically, I think everyone was just butthurt because there wasn't enough fluff at the end.
they weren't expecting such an angsty ending, and I kind of...
Surprise, bitch!
It made sense to me because in my head, when people are that age, I mean, they were only 17, 18, they've still got some growing up to do. And when you're at that age,
fucking
he
army.
went to the army. He met someone who was, and
he was always telling him about Sherlock.
John talked to Todd about Sherlock, and they talked about who they had back home.
And he was just telling Sherlock about Todd because they were really like all he had there.
Yeah, I mean,
like he's not gonna write Sherlock and be like, so today
I met
20 of us died, and it was awful. You should worry about me. He's not gonna do that.
Yeah, he's gonna tell Sherlock about the good thing that he has there, and that happened to be Todd. He found someone that he clicked with, and that doesn't mean that Sherlock is suddenly irrelevant. I mean, they have so much history.
The reason it came across that way, I think, is because Sherlock is really jealous.
Yeah,
I mean, he's a jealous type, and he has such low self-esteem and so much self-loathing that he was just assuming that, oh, there it happened, finally, John found someone else.
People need to remember that it is written from Sherlock's point of view, that final chapter. So you're meant to look at it from Sherlock's point of view.
And Sherlock would just panic about it. He wouldn't... I mean, he would still want to be with John and everything. It's not like he was... That's the problem, is that he's terrified that John is moving on.
But I mean, I feel like
But their relationship has never been an in-person relationship, so it doesn't change anything.
There was some blatant, sentences, lines in the epilogue about John getting off the train, and then I think I said something about he wouldn't run to Sherlock, but he would walk.
Yeah.
But in his mind, he'd be running.
Yeah.
To me, that means so much more. That means he's grown, but that doesn't mean he isn't. He wants to run, but he has. I assume he has his injuries, so he wouldn't run anyway.
That's what I assume too, is that he couldn't really. But
in his mind, he was running.
He's still John. He's just a bit more mature. He's not the sandwich kid. He's an army doctor.
I feel like some people missed those lines completely, or they didn't see
They were
that.
just so horrified by the lack of smooching.
Yeah.
And the lack of cuddles, I guess. I thought it was really in character. I liked it much better when you added the little fluffy bit at the end to to confirm
doesn't feel right.
that in the future. Because when you left it at he didn't sleep, it
didn't feel rounded off to me either.
It
but
talked about it just felt like it stopped. There was gonna be more, and then it stopped. And it was like,
yeah.
So I got the same thing. So when you added that little bit that you had intended on posting on Tumblr, and then you ended up adding it to the actual chapter, it made it a lot better for me, because that was that's a little bit of anniversary.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
There, all right. So they did figure it all out, and they're still together years later.
So.
Yes.
In conclusion,
I think is the answer to that.
I'm fine with the ending because I know that all that happened was John grew up, and it's realistic in that people change and they meet people, but that doesn't mean that the old people in their life aren't still important to them.
It's an anonymous who said, I hate to be that person, but goddamn it. First of all, I love you, okay? That's probably for you.
Get out of here.
Yes, why are you doing here? How diverse is the casting? Obviously, London itself is one of the most diverse places on the planet. Is that the same? Do we get a fair representation of people of color people? Also, like, the one other thing that I'm kind of concerned about is whether Katie is portrayed fairly, because the bi girl is a cheater and leaves for the other gender trope sucks balls.
That is
Agreed.
technically true, actually. She was meant to be lesbian, but was
With
kind of suppressing it by
is that your character
dating
development for her?
John. I think.
But then she went with
she had a
the-
beard, I think.
Katie is not like the bi girl. She was trying to not be gay, right? Is that how you'd word it? She was trying to hide it, not be out about it.
She wasn't out about it.
Okay. As for casting, I'm trying to cast everyone how we're all going to picture them. Meaning, like, everyone's going to see them in their head when they read it as a younger version of the BBC's incarnation casting. So, like, John has to be with blonde hair, like,
Kind of like stocky,
Rugby
like
build.
rugby build.
and then Sherlock has to be tall, stringy, curly-haired, dark-haired, that kind of thing. But as for people of color, you have Sally, who will be cast correctly.
I mean, the BBC Sherlock isn't very
It's not
diverse.
exactly diverse. Like, you don't see a lot
But
of
I
that.
mean,
You'll see, in actual footage of London, you'll see lots of extras of lots of different races, because I was actually here filming actual diverse city people. But as for casted characters, they're going to be cast as they were described, which isn't, there's not a lot of cultural diversity in the story, because it's all very based on the story we already know, and a lot of them are just, white.
I know you said you were inspired by another fanfic that was similar, but where did you get the idea for the rest of their lives? Did you make it up, or were they based on something else?
I feel like
It made sense with canon, I
people,
think.
it did as well, but I feel like young people deal with things in their own ways, and you don't always know when someone has those kinds of issues at home, because they cover it up by using Tumblr as an escape and making insane text posts that make no sense about goats or something. And that's kind of like where you get all random macaroon conversations, but actually, like, Sherlock's parents are arguing right next to him, and he needs an escape. And I think a lot of people can just relate to that.
I felt like...
There are some things from your life as well as things that
Yeah!
happen
Events
to
that
people
happen to you.
people you know
Yeah.
that you can sort of
Yeah,
put in.
definitely.
but not
Also, a
all
lot
it.
of, like, Sherlock's issues were actually sort of Sherlock's issues that he had in canon.
Yeah.
And some of John's are a mixture of canon and fanon that, like, we've all accepted that happened to him when he was a teenager, to BBC canon John when he was a kid. Like, the family, money trouble and Harry.
I meant Harry's drinking.
It's a mixture, I think, of your own preferences and your own ideas and actual fanon.
Also, my favorite scene, the treasure hunt style thing. Do these places exist? If so, have you been?
We're going tomorrow! We're actually going on a field trip. We should make a video of that!
We're totally gonna make a video
Oh,
of
we're gonna
that.
make a video about that. We're gonna go on the actual treasure hunt from a finger slip. And we're gonna make a list so
Without
that
Lucy.
fans can do it too.
But seeing the treasure hunt style thing, do these places exist?
Most of
I
I
them.
think most of them do.
We're gonna find out.
T3 Valerie definitely does.
Demon Hedgehog 1 asked, for the author,
That
that's
you.
what was it like to write such a masterpiece that plays with the reader's emotions? Did you enjoy it, or were you as well crying silently?
I think the term masterpiece is a bit
I agree.
masterpiece written by a 15-year-old.
Fuck off. It's
Yes,
a masterpiece.
yes,
That's
it's
a
a
really good word.
A masterpiece.
Masterpiece.
Plays with the reader's emotions.
You loved doing that.
I loved it. It
Over
was
making you
hilarious.
cry.
I mean, the reactions to the chapters each time updated was the best part of uploading.
The tag would just fill with text posts.
Like, what the fuck? And I'm just there, like, drinking tea, like, ah. Especially, like, the Angelos one when Sherlock didn't go inside.
Oh my
That was
god!
the worst. And then
I
there
was so mad at you!
Crying, no. I didn't even find anything funny as well. Everything,
The pie
all
metaphor.
of the humour was just like me going, this is so dumb. No one's gonna find this funny. And then everyone was like, that was so funny.
I
And
had
was-
actual moments where I had to, like, get up. My stomach hurt. I was legit laughing that hard. And you're just like...
The Beyonce bit, I wrote that all with deadpan expression.
Shakira starts playing.
Yeah, I mean, I laughed at your post about the whole X Factor audition, like just what it would be.
James Bradbury at presumably not. Do you plan on writing a sequel or a story in the same style for another fandom? Either one would be awesome.
I don't plan on writing a sequel at the moment. I mean, potentially in the future I could write something.
An idea rolling
where they're
around.
old. I would just like write one when they're older, but just like subtly like slip in bits that would link to. Like maybe John would be eating a macaroon.
By macaroons.
Yeah, but at the moment I'm not planning to do that because I have a shit ton of college work to do. And
we know.
I'm really into this whole web series thing at the moment. I think if everyone just focus on the web series.
This is
just
Lucy's college work.
Ingrid and I have gotten to hang out with Lucy for like a total of like 12 hours this whole week.
And this is just
because
psychology.
she's had to be doing work.
This is just psychology.
I have A-levels to do, guys.
This is just psychology. We were on a break!
That's the name. Wait, what?
At Codalorna on Twitter. When do you plan to upload the first episode?
October 19th,
October 9th.
2014.
Nate Kilosi asked a Fingerslip official, I wondered how it is with the copyright. Did you get a permission to use the BBC characters like Molly? Or isn't there a problem because you won't make money with it? Just asking because I am working in a publishing house in Germany and by experience copyright is always a problem.
That's very true. We don't think there's going to be an issue. We're not calling her Molly Hooper, and we're not calling Sally Donovan. It's just going to be Molly and Sally, which are like regular common names. But also we're not making money from it, so I think that's going to help too. And
We spoke to those producers and they said themselves they don't think there'll be issues with copyright. And they've worked with the BBC themselves.
I have a question.
go for
Right.
it. Yeah, that's right, you did have one.
Will we meet Harry?
Yes. Fun fact, Katsu Decimal, the author of A Slip of the Finger, made
Made the,
The
scarf
scarf.
that's going to be in the web series.
that is.
Anonymous asked a Fingerslip official, what is the one thing you want to accomplish by this series? Is there anything special you are striving towards?
Well, one of the reasons that the web series is so important to me now, at first it was just a cool idea to sort of start my film career off, but then I started thinking about everything that it means. Like, it's such an important story to people, and I kind of covered this in the panel. Basically, the story means a lot to the readers, I think, and it does to me, because it's so relatable. We all have relationships with people we've never met, and we all care about those people just as much, and it doesn't matter if you've never met them.
We're an example.
Aww. People relate to it for that. So I want to sort of use it to be a manifestation for people to use as an example for people who don't understand the relationship they have with someone from another country. If their parents or their family members or their real life friends are like, you don't even know that person, they at least have this series to take comfort in, to take solace in, and know that they're not the only one that has that, and that it doesn't matter if people in your real life understand you. It's okay to have that with people. That's a big one. Another thing is it's the first incarnation that I know of to actually make Holmes and Watson a romantic pairing. That's important for me because they're two characters that have been meant to be portrayed that way
In some
since
form,
the beginning. Yeah. And the fans of Sherlock Holmes have always wanted it. Another thing I wanted to represent with the series is LGBTQ that representation in the media. Every incarnation of Holmes and Watson seems to avoid it,
Yeah.
but like tease it, like it's there, but they just don't make it canon because I feel
Everyone
like
sees it as a big joke and
as a joke or as controversial.
It's a bit
Controversial. But I feel like it's really important for people to see two so iconic and important characters be allowed to be gay and not looked at by their friends or any differently. And it's no sunshine and rainbows situation either because John goes through a sort of sexuality crisis
Yeah.
in a way.
I mean,
He seems to handle it pretty well.
gay or bi, seeing as he did date Katie in the fic.
Yeah.
So either
In that he's never
loved.
loved he's never felt attracted to a man before. He fell in love with Sherlock without meeting him. He blindly did it. And that's a cool thing too, is it represents that you can fall in love with a person just for who they are.
Yeah, I think that's
And that's a really important message, I think,
Yeah.
that your story sends to your readers. So basically, I'm just, with the web series, I want it to just be a rock for people, to be a representation and something to anchor them when they think that they are the only ones experiencing some sort of struggle. Because there's really not a lot of stories that cover this sort of stuff. We have so many relationships with people across the world, and people don't understand that. And a lot of them are very sexually or gender fluid. And that leads to a lot of issues at home for a lot of them. And that's important to me to just, internet support group.
I don't have anything to add to that. I think you answered that perfectly. The web series happening is an accomplishment to me in itself. So that's like my accomplishment, and then I think what you're going to accomplish with this is going to be just
Bonus
that
points.
much better.
Lainey's busy right now, asked the Fingerslip official. There are many scenes in the Fingerslip that are implied, and the reader is meant to assume they happen. Of course, none of these parts were actually in the story because it was simply dialogue. Are you planning on showing those scenes, giving an inside view of how things actually went?
Yes.
I like that.
We showed a couple scenes at 221BCon that sort of represent that as a screenwriter, I've been filling in the blanks. Some of that is due to Katsudesimals, a slip of the finger. Like, I use some of that as well. So it's sort of a balance of both, but it's primarily a finger slip. But an example is Sherlock mentions getting beat up.
Yep.
So there's a fight scene. You get to see Sherlock get beat up by some people, bullies, druggies.
Whatever.
And then there's a scene where he's like, John, guess what? I've been experimenting with tea. And so before that, you get to see him actually come home with a bunch of tea and
Experimenting with it.
And so, yeah, basically anything that's mentioned in passing, there's going to be a scene surrounding it. You see it happen before he tells him about it.
And the last one we got now. Which is your favorite chapter? Which part was the hardest to write? Thanks and love the fic.
I can't remember what happens in each chapter anymore. I have a soft spot for the macaroon part because I love the fact that I just was sat in my room like cutting out a little paper plate.
Did that just come to your head?
My dad came home with these crushed macaroons, and he gave them to me one night because he'd been to a buffet. I was like, what are you doing? And then I ended up losing the pictures I took with those macaroons, and I was like, no! And I had to go out and buy some more macaroons.
So wait, you did the part with these broken macaroons.
I drew on a mustache and everything, and I took these pictures,
and then
I was
you
like,
lost
yes,
them.
it's amazing! And then my phone...
So you recreated it with nice macaroons.
With nice macaroons.
That's so funny.
My phone got
so he just gave you these macaroons and you were like, this will be funny for John.
Yeah.
And you just fucked around with it.
I don't know how I thought about it.
Where you got inspired from real life, right?
Yeah.
I love those stories. Like when you told me about your mum getting attacked by the goose. I knew it. I was like,
My mum was chased by a goose in Chiswick in London.
Which is right by the bark bark woof woof good dog sign.
The funniest thing I've ever seen in my life. Oh yeah, and then I also have a soft spot for the pie metaphor.
The pie metaphor!
I don't know why, I just like it. It was fun to write. I was kind of giggling to myself a bit. Which part was the hardest to write as well? I forgot.
Oh yeah.
Anything towards the end of the fic. Especially like the meeting, and actually no, the meeting wasn't that hard. So I suddenly had like a burst of inspiration at 1 in the morning and I started writing stuff down. But I had that second to last chapter like on the go for like maybe 3 months, more than that, before I actually uploaded it. As I was like writing the other chapters as well, I was like, this is how it's kind of working on the side. So it wasn't that hard, but things like working up to it where the gaps between the uploads became like months long and a month hiatus.
My favorite part is the one where Sherlock helps finding Harry.
That's a really
I
good
really
part.
like that part.
Because he sort of proves himself to John a bit, and he's expecting John to think he's some sort of creep, and then he's just like, thank you.
I don't like that part.
Why not?
And
I don't
also
know.
like that
every
part-
time I reread it, I just cringe myself.
Does it
into
feel a little bit like...
kind of like far-fetched?
Yeah.
Like,
No, it's Sherlock Holmes. Well, hardest to write. No, actually, that's a valid answer for me. The hardest scene for me to write was the fight scene so far. Like, I hate that. I'm changing it.
okay.
The fucking dialogue is so
I can help
stupid.
you.
Please do, Jesus Christ.
I'll help you.
Write that scene for me. Okay, I really like when Sherlock gets the scarf. I mean, you already said a couple of my favorites. The pie metaphor is fucking gold. People are gonna get tattoos of that.
It's a metaphor.
It's a metaphor.
That's
He
very
puts the crust
perverted.
between his teeth. Doesn't give the spoon
It
the power
could.
to kill him.
You little shit.
Well, my favourite part about a finger slip was when we were going home from London and we met Lucy's dad on the train. And we sat on the train talking about
A
a
finger
finger slip with her dad, fangirling and talking about our favourite parts.
Like, my favorite hobby is fangirling about a finger slip with Pawtal's dad, Papa
And
Pawtal.
especially when Papa Pawtal, and especially
Papa Pawtal.
when Lucy's there, because she sat in the middle.
She's just sitting there
She
like,
just ended up sitting like. Yes.
It's so.
and we're like, oh my god, that one part.
I never knew I had any kind of sense of humour until you read that.
And I think it's really cute because he's
He's
the
he's such a
stereotypical-
businessman,
stereotypical
and so-
sarcastic
and then
dad,
he'll
he
just
comes
be
and is
like talking about macaroons. Your dad's singing is also one of my favorite things because it's just so unexpected. I'm just like, yes.
we should start a Papa Pawtal fandom. If
Papa
you want,
Pawtal fandom.
if you want to be part of it, you should start looking for his blog because it's out there
Yeah,
somewhere.
he has a Tumblr.
He has a Tumblr. We don't know what the URL is.
He won't.
He won't tell
says
us.
he uses it to look me up,
To check on her.
me.
What was the question?
Hardest.
When the way you wrote it is really how it's so good because it was sort of inevitable, but the way you wrote it, I was just like, when Greg and John meet.
Oh my god!
And how it's sort of really vague, and you're like, oh, the dog owner's coming over now, and then it jumps to Greg texting Sherlock like, guess who I just met? I was like, oh my god!
I was so thankful that I'd written in previous chapters that he had a dog.
Yeah!
Because I was like, such a coincidence. Oh, that's good. I'll just say.
I'll just go with that! Yeah, you fucker.
Linked. All of it was coincidental.
So done with you. We didn't plan any of it.
It didn't.
It just came to you from the heavens.
It did. Every chapter I was
angel-
like, right, let's do this.
An angel whispered in your ear, macaroons with mustaches. What the fuck? I have a question for you.
Okay.
Why did Greg's dad die?
It was the Greg and Mycroft thing.
Oh yeah!
Because I
Alright,
needed
that's good.
to bond them together in some way.
They needed a reason to
I wanted to explore Greg and Mycroft a little bit better, and I felt like
even though it wasn't, the story's not about them.
no,
It was
but
nice
people,
to
like,
see
really
it.
liked them.
Oh, you should have seen the panel. Everybody was like, "Will there be my Strahd?" And I was like, "There will be my Strahd!" And they were like, "Ah!" So bad.
Some intimacy, even if it's just like friendly, between Mycroft and Greg was
I really liked.
needed, and I wanted like a touching moment between
You
them.
know what sucks is, I love all of your cheesy lines, like all of the really like mushy ones.
Ugh.
I feel like I should hate them, but I'm like, oh, like
What
like the
was
one
the
where the one where Greg says
something, Greg, love. What is he saying?
not fate.
Not
no.
fate, Greg.
Love. I love that line.
Not fate.
I'm
Greg.
talking
I
about
despise
when
it.
when Greg's dad dies. He says, "What do you want me to come over and cry on your shoulder until I feel better," or something
Yeah,
like that.
same.
He's like, or should I sit on your lap and cry until I feel better? He's like, I would do just that if it helped or something
Yeah.
like that. I was like,
Breaking it.
fluff is my weakness though. Like, I'm always like, I don't even care if it gets OOC. I'm just like, yes.
Just in the wind playing.
I can't do it.
I hear. What's his name? No, Mickey's friend. Goofy's.
Goofy.
Hi, close. That's what I hear when you start
Close.
saying.
York.
York. Lucy
I need to get out the frame because I'm gonna pee myself.
passing out.
Excuse me.
Do it.
Lucy's dead.